Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Christ Central's morning devotional. My name is Julian, and today I am going to help us think through a bit from Mark 14. So I'm going to read the passage. It's where Jesus predicts that Peter will deny him, and then I'm going to share a few thoughts on it. I should also say that the church at the moment is working through a series of talks on Peter. So there'll be some similarities between what I say and what's been said in church. And if you'd like more information on our talk on Peter, go to the Christ Central website. And I believe there are links there to all of the talks. So without further ado, I shall read the passage. Mark 14, chapter 27. So they've just had the Lord's Supper. Jesus has told them that one of them is going to betray him. You will all fall away, Jesus told them, for it is written, I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. But after I have risen, I will go ahead of you into Galilee. Peter declared, even if all the others fall away, I will not. I tell you the truth, Jesus answered. Today, yes, tonight, before the rooster crows twice, you yourself will disown me 3 times. But Peter insisted emphatically, even if I have to die with you, I will never disown you. And all the others said the same. So, fun passage, isn't it? So first of all, I've got a few points to note on the way through it about things that struck me as I was reading it, and then there's a more central thought to think about and reflect upon during the day. So the first one is Jesus has foreknowledge of what's going to happen. We have this prophecy from Zechariah 13 that Jesus refers to, but also he's taken them to Jerusalem. He's telling Peter and the disciples here that they are going to fall away, and so he knows that everything that's going to unfold is going to unfold. So this gives us another insight into Jesus's divinity and power, and the fact that he is on a mission here for God of salvation, because even though he knows it's going to be a difficult road ahead and what's going to happen, he does it anyway for our sakes. And then we move on to the central bit about before the cock crows twice. So again, it's another prophecy of what's going to happen. And in a few verses time, Peter finds himself acting it out and going through it. So Peter at this point is having the future pointed out to him. So this is Peter who Jesus has called out of the boat and has walked on water. It's Peter who's been up to the transfiguration and seen the power of God descending like a cloud. And then Jesus, his mentor for the last 3 years, turns around and says that you are going to deny me 3 times. Which is probably quite a humbling experience. And then tagged on in the last little paragraph there, all of the disciples promise that they will not scatter. So you can imagine this being quite a difficult meeting, because Jesus has called together the disciples here and said, chaps, been a lovely 3 years, this bad thing's going to happen, you're all going to scatter. And they say, no, we won't, we will be with you till the end. That must be a difficult message to receive as the disciples. But having had that little summary, here's something to ponder on today. If Jesus, who was and is both God and man, knows that Peter and the disciples would fall away, why choose him in the first place? You know, Psalms tell us we're fearfully, wonderfully made, knitted together in our mother's wombs. And so thinking about this, so earlier in the year we talked a bit about Exodus, and we looked at the stories of God pulling the Israelites out of Egypt. And again, all of the talks are available online. One of the men at the pub was talking with us one evening about how he was going to talk about the plagues. And why is it that Pharaoh behaved as he did? And someone else said, well, it's the sovereignty of God, isn't it? So sovereignty of God, what does that mean? So I've got my Ladybird Book of Sovereignty of God here, which says the sovereignty of God. What do we mean by this expression? We mean the supremacy of God, the kingship of God, the godhood of God. To say that God is sovereign is to declare that God is God, to declare that he does as he pleases with the powers of heaven and the peoples of the earth, that no one can hold back his hand or question him. The book of Daniel. To say that God is sovereign is to declare that he, the Almighty, the possessor of all power in heaven and earth, so that none can defeat his counsels, thwart his purpose, or resist his will. Psalm 115. To say that God is sovereign is to declare that he is the governor among the nations. Psalm 22. Setting up kingdoms, overthrowing empires, determining the course of dynasties as best please him. To say that God is sovereign is to declare that he is the only King of kings and Lord of lords. 1 Timothy 6. So we have this awesome, powerful God who chose Peter. And that's quite a powerful thought. So God chose Peter. And then he spent 3 years training him up as a disciple. That's 3 years, 1 to 12 training. That's even better than you get in private schools today. And then knowing all of that time, that when it comes to this point, Peter and the disciples are going to fall away. So, spoiler alert, following the resurrection, Peter goes on to be one of the leaders of the early church. And that's why God chose him. So something to reflect upon. We're all going to stumble and fall at some point or other. But what do we do after that? Do we come back to God, wiser, a bit more humble, ready to serve? Or do we stay fallen away?